Hello and welcome back to Top Dogs. Today we're going to be revisiting grief, loss, and mourning. We encourage you to watch, but also understand that this episode may be too difficult for you. If that's the case, please take care of yourselves as we begin our journey forward. I am Stream Arcadet.
I am Sakura.
I'm Dune the Fox.
I am Revenge.
I'm Kit Clausen.
Okay, so, as I understand it, it has been almost a year since we first visited this topic. So for our newer listeners out there, why don't we talk about first why this topic is so personal to us?
I'll go first. So, a year ago, February 4th, actually was 1 year ago, when my husband passed away. He had pancreatic cancer, and it was a really quick process, but he said he didn't suffer the entire time, so I'm thankful for that. But the very next day, Fiction asked if I wanted to be on the podcast, and I wasn't even a team member yet. So I was amazed, and so I was very thankful for the support that I got from all of you here on the podcast, and that's actually what pushed me into joining the team.
So for me, when it comes to grief and loss, I mean, in my time, I have had a number of losses. I have buried 5 grandparents and 2 best friends in my time. So I do not have any more grandparents in my life, and actually both of the friends that I lost were right before graduation in high school, believe it or not. One of them died to overdosing, and the other one died in a car accident. That was really, really gnarly. So, a topic like this hits really, really deep for me. I mean, this was years ago. It was not within the last year, but even to God damn it, even thinking about it right now. Thinking about it, it really hurts. Thinking about the people who are no longer in my life.
Well, for this one specifically, this was the first time that I was on the podcast, because Fiction also asked me if I wanted to do this one specifically, because my father passed away on the 26th of December. He was supposed to pass on the 20th, but he stayed just for a little bit longer, so that way I was able to see him. And he passed on the 26th. So it was approached to me by Fiction if I wanted to do this episode's or the loss and the grieving and everything like that to help send a message. And it was very touching to know that this episode has the ability to be aired out and allow us to share our story. So this is a really, really touching episode. And with today, the 18th, being my father's birthday, he would have been 60 years old. So
damn, that's still very young.
It is what it is. Trying not to get these sponges wet. Not trying to get these sponges wet. Okay, we're good. But what about you, Stream?
So me, mourning is something that is really something important to me. It's something that I believe is worth discussing because we all deal with it in a different manner in our own personal ways. And I think talking about it is the best way to kind of recover from that. Doing an episode about something like this I'm pretty sure that it's going to touch a lot of people. So I think telling our stories, how we dealt with it, what we've been through, I think is a good thing to do. I have lost a few people in my life, not much, but I lost my German Shepherd puppy Thunder when he was 7 months old. I lost him due to kidney failure. But also, My father passed away when I was 2 years old. He decided to end his own life, and my mother didn't expect it at all. Like it was very sudden. Luckily, I had somebody take over when I was 6 months later, so I didn't really feel like that loss in my life. I've never really felt it, but it's still, I think it's a very good subject to get, down to earth and talk about it. Hopefully we can inspire people out there and maybe help them out, so this is kind of why it's really important for me.
Yeah, those are really, really good points. I think another thing that's kind of interesting to think about is I think a lot of people, especially avid YouTube consumers like myself, are really, when you go and watch furry content, it's usually very kind of lighthearted and goofy and silly, and it's meant to kind of be that escape for people on the internet, So being able to reach people in this kind of format and talk about something that touches that much more on reality, it can be really powerful. So this is such an awesome conversation to have on the internet of all places,
Yeah.
All right. So, within the last couple of years, if any of you are willing, just go ahead and share any losses that you've had come up and how you've already shared some of those now, but if you have any others, you can share those too. And then just kind of go into how the loss affected you physically and mentally, what was your headspace? How were you feeling? Things like that.
I'll start it off. So, like I mentioned earlier, my most recent loss I had was my German Shepherd puppy, Thunder. He was 7 months old. He was actually 6 months old when we found out that his kidneys were failing. And it was explaining a lot of stuff, but it was something that is really difficult. It hit me like a goddamn truck because I didn't expect that. Like, I know dogs, they don't live as long as we do, but I sure not expected that to happen. And, my husband and I, we've been kind of trying to have children of our own, and it's not going well so far. The first attempt has failed. We have to start over from scratch. We lost $80,000. And then within that same year, I get the announcement that my dog is going to die. So it hit us like a truck. It hit us really freaking hard. And, I kind of see my dog like my child. So it was really difficult for me to deal with this. I had an emotional breakdown, and, having to put him down was the hardest thing I've ever done in my goddamn life. It's the worst thing. And I'm just thinking about Jet right now, which is the one we have currently. The owner, the breeder, gave us another dog, since he had health issues. And it's actually his stepbrother, so it's kind of cute. So they're really alike. But having to go through that process, we had the vet come over. We were doing this in the living room, so Thunder was really calm. And we were there the whole time. We were petting him and doing the injection was like, fuck. Yeah, sponges, you're talking about it. So we had to go through the process because he was just not doing well, So before, oh my God, there was so much that happened. I was changing job too at the same day. So I had to bring my work truck to my previous work, head back home on the bus. And then it was the euthanization for my dog on the same day. So we actually went for a walk outside to him, have a good time. We went to my husband's restaurant. We had a last little drink with him, just kind of celebrate a last one. And then it was the whole procedure inside our living room, and the vet came, and even the vet got emotional about the whole procedure. And I was there the whole time, and I felt his heart stop. It was like the hardest thing, it was the hardest thing ever. And I hate this. So I felt his heart stop, and I lost it. I completely lost this. And it's the worst feeling ever. I was there the whole process. I put him inside the bag. I carried him. I put it on the truck for the vet, and even the vet got emotional. Everybody got emotional. It was terrible, but at least now he's in dog heaven. Hopefully, he's watching over us and his little brother. But I don't know what to talk about. I'm just rambling. Sorry. It's difficult, but
it's okay.
Yeah. like it's been a year now, a year and a half, and I still cry ever so often about him just thinking about this. It feels like it's a nightmare. Like there's no way this could happen, yet it did. And I probably never gonna recover from this. I just have to accept it and move on and keep going forward, you know. So we'll go from there. What about you, Kit?
I am glad my husband did not pass away in the home. I actually stayed out of work for 3 months taking care of him once he could no longer care for himself. But the last 12 days that he was with us, I had to check him into a nursing home because it got to the point where I just couldn't care for him by myself anymore. There's a couple of funny stories about that too. But I was able to get him into a nursing home where one of his good friends actually was the administrator at this nursing home. She made sure that he had a private room directly across the hall from her office, so I knew whether I was there or not, he was going to be well taken care of. So I'm really thankful to her for that.
So sorry, trying to gather myself here for a minute. For me, I think, you know, of the ones that I lost, I think the hardest one was a really close friend of mine. His name was Sam. And he was somebody that I had known since the second grade. You know, just a nerdy kid like me, was picked on every once in a while, but God bless that kid, had a heart of gold. And we became friends. And we would have sleepovers. We would have birthday parties together. I mean, I literally grew up with him. And, you know, I considered him a brother of mine. I really did. We were really close to each other. And sorry, I know I'm saying "and" a lot, but just trying to gather my thoughts here. It was at the funeral for our other friend Julie that I was having a really rough go of it. And I remember looking at him and saying, "Don't leave me. I'm losing one friend. I don't want to lose you." And he looked at me and was like, "You know, I don't plan on going anywhere. You know, don't worry about it." It was probably, God, 3 or 4 months later, I remember getting to school. And there were grief counselors, like in like the foyer area or in the cafeteria. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, oh no, who did we lose this time? And a bunch of my friends bum rushed me and started hugging me really tightly and saying, "We're so sorry." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, Sam's gone. He just got into a really nasty car wreck and they pronounced him dead." I can't explain to you the emptiness that all of a sudden hit me when I heard the news about that. I ended up having to leave school that day. I got in my car and I drove home. And my parents hadn't even left for work yet. And they're wondering, "Why are you home right now? You should be in school." And I gave them the news that Sam had passed away. That, you know, and what had happened. I just remember, you know, they held me and they said, "Okay, that's fine. You just sit back, you take it easy, you know, just try to take care of yourself." I'd lost a brother that day. And, you know, obviously, that was back in 2005, and still to this day, I still lose it thinking about him, because I remember a time even going to visit his mom years after he'd passed away. You know, she was local in town to where I was living, and she was outside. I stopped by her house because I wanted to say, hey, it's been a long time. I remember all the good times. And we got into his room where she had kind of left everything. She hadn't even moved any of his stuff. And it hit so hard how empty that room felt to me. And I lost it right there in front of her. I'm like, I went into there thinking, okay, I'm going to be strong for her. I'm here to say hi to her. I couldn't do it. It's still rough to this day. It's super rough. Go ahead, Revenge. I'm sorry.
No, you don't need to apologize. Well, for me, it's like I said before, it's my father. Within that year and a half, he had 3 heart attacks and 4 strokes. And the last stroke that he had, he went to a doctor's office in Pittsburgh. I won't say any names. I won't say the hospital he went to, but he went there for a procedure because he had a doctor's appointment. The doctors didn't like his blood work, so he went to go get tested out and get checked out and everything. The doctor said that he went to PA for this other appointment. Everything looked good. He looks fine. Nothing has changed, so he's doing pretty good. Okay, so then we thought everything was good with that. And then come to find out that doctor misdiagnosed. And while my dad was there, he had a mini heart attack, and then she didn't catch it. I feel like that was the start of the downhill for my dad. Because if it was caught, I feel like he would still be here. He might be in the hospital or anything, but he would still be here. Going down a few more months, he was in 1 home. Then he went to hospice for a little bit. He did well. He got taken out, and then he got put back into another hospital. And then this is in December of 22. My mom called me as I was getting ready for work. She said, when can you come down to Pittsburgh? Well, I'm working a lot. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. So if it's for Christmas, I know we talked about it and we can figure some stuff out. Like, no, this one's going to be a little different. This one's about your dad. I don't think he's going to make it to Christmas. Okay, I will figure something out and I will see what I can do. But at the time, it was extremely busy where I worked at. There was a lot of parties and everything going on at the facility I was working at, which was Top Golf in Washington, D.C. So later on that night, my mom called me again. She says, this is probably going to be like the last few hours. Okay, I'm going to try to get there. But I couldn't get there until the 26th. And my dad still was hanging in there. He got to see my mom, my brother and sister, his family, my niece and nephew, his other friends. He got to see everybody. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I'm going to go there. My dad is gone. And I never got a chance to say goodbye to him. But I got there around 9:30 that morning. My dad couldn't speak. He couldn't move. He wasn't able to do that for quite a few days. And then at 11:50, because my mom was discussing about taking him over to hospice to let him finish it out there. At 11:50, I was holding on to my dad's hands. And I whispered in his ear, I said, I'm here. It is okay. You can go. You don't have to suffer anymore. And after I said, you can go, he squeezed my hand. And my dad wasn't able to see. He couldn't open his eyes or anything, but he was able to open up his eyes and he looked at me. And
Tough part.
that I know. I'm sorry. And with that, I knew that was the sign that not only was he fighting for his last breath to make sure that he got to see his last son before he left. That told me right there it was time for him to go. And then at 11:58, I watched him take his last breath, and he left. And that was the hardest thing I could have ever have seen. I mean, I've been in the military for 10 years. I've seen a few of my brothers and sisters, they passed right in front of me. I'm not saying that's not as bad, but this one hit very, very differently. And then to have my mom see the man that she chased after, because that's what she jokes about, is that usually, the guys chase the girls. No, my mom was chasing after my dad to make sure that nobody would claim him. So she made sure of that. She made sure of that. And like she said, she would, because my dad worked at the grocery store, a little mom and pop shop. My mom would purposely go into the shop and buy some gum to make sure that he would notice her. That's the running joke that we get from with her. But sorry, I had a light mood there a little bit.
It's okay.
But to see my mom be with the man that she loved for so long, have to make that devastating phone call to my sister and my brother that he passed, and to hear my sister scream like that was something I was not prepared for. And as we're filming this now, today is his birthday, and he would have been 60 years old. And it's hard. Because before we went to this filming, I was at his gravesite. And it's the hardest thing to see. The hardest thing to see that someone who you didn't have a really good relationship with in the beginning because you came out, and then to rekindle and build the relationship back up for someone who didn't want to have nothing to do with you, but then to say, you know what, I messed up. You're my son. I love you regardless of who you are. To have someone like that and who's not here right now is so difficult. It is so difficult. Sorry.
Last time you told us that story, you mentioned that there was that very one special song that came on.
Oh yes, I'm glad because you did. I did. My dad's favorite singer is Luther Vandross. It is his absolute favorite song, and it's funny you said that too, because literally his favorite, well, any song that Luther sings is he loves it. But the one song specifically it's called Dance With My Father Again. And that song, it came on 10 minutes before I got to his gravesite today. It came on again, and it was on I have Spotify, and I have it playing on random, and I forgot that I had Luther soundtracks on my Spotify, but that played 10 minutes before I got to his gravesite. And that played that day when he passed away, it played again that day on the hospital floor. And it was just, that's how I know whenever a Luther song comes on, that's how I know my dad is in presence. He's here. It reassures me that he's no longer suffering. He's no longer in pain. He's no longer unhappy. He is fully healthy. He is up. He is up in heaven right now, probably talking to a whole bunch of people, talking about who knows what. Because my dad literally could talk to anybody, and he would be just the conversation to have. Because the spirit that he had was just amazing. Okay. I'm okay for now.
It's a tough one. Not easy.
It's really tough.
Yeah. I'm going to kind of understate the obvious here, but this is a deep, profound, very, very impactful experience, you know? So I just want to quickly commend you all for being vulnerable and open in this conversation. This is not easy to talk about at all. And thank you, you know, for sharing your experiences, because this is, I know that people out there in cyberspace really appreciate, you know, being able to hear about this and talk about this.
Poor Laura. Sakura, you're still struggling. Oh, so bad for
It's
you.
only getting worse.
Oh, no.
It's okay. Let's keep moving forward. Let's keep going.
All right, so we're midway
Alright.
through our episode now.
Yeah, so while we collect ourselves, let's take a short break here.
Yeah. We'll get through this, guys. We'll get through this.
Absolutely. So we did ask our listeners, you know, you guys do the regular question of the week. For this episode, the question that we asked was, how do you support someone who has recently experienced loss? And we did get a few responses. The Star Wolf says, it's best to give them as much comfort as you can and empathize with them, helping them through their pain, which I completely agree with. Justin the Firewolf Dog says, the way how I support someone that's been dealing with loss is I comfort them and say positive things and apologize for their loss and that they're in a better place. Then I probably offer them something like food or anything in general, which I think is a great point. Also, I have seen people doing art of their lost ones too, which I have done for my fiance before when he lost his pet Yorkie named Lola. That was in October of 2021. Zembos says, I am not really good with words at times when it comes to the loss of a close friend or a family member, so the most I would do is listen to them, offer a tight hug, and remind them to keep the best memories they had with that person or pet in their mind and heart if I can't find the right words to say. And Moo Moo says, loss is something that is hard to weigh in on as it's different for everyone. No words can really truly describe the impact someone or something has on your life, and comfort can mean drastically different things for different people. It's something that's hard to gauge, especially when wounds are fresh. I know that when my grandmother had passed, I was devastated, but with the support of a few of my close friends, I found solace in music because that's where I felt closest to my feelings. They encouraged me to pick songs out and make playlists so they could understand me in a way where words could not reach them. In turn, I've encouraged a few of my friends when they're struggling. My friend Lydia recently had her grandfather pass, and I've encouraged her to utilize music as an outlet to help let out her grief and frustration, because sometimes your thoughts are a sound, and it's easier to put into song than words. These are all really, really fantastic responses.
I want to go off the rails a little bit and again try to lighten the mood with a funny story. So my grandfather actually passed away about a month and a half after my husband did. I don't think I talked about this beforehand. So I get a call while my husband is in a nursing home from his friend across the hall. And she goes, I just caught him smoking. I was like, what? How? How? Smoking in the nursing home. How? I told her, listen, I packed his bags. I didn't pack cigarettes. She goes, well, how did he get him in then? I said, I don't know. I didn't realize I needed to do a cavity search.
God damn it. Oh my god.
Not a cavity search. Oh, no.
Oh, gosh.
It gets better. So I call my mom, my grandma, and I'm telling them about this, and they're like, oh my god, you're kidding me. Your grandpa did the same thing. I'm like, no way.
One God let damn last smoke before I go. Ain't no way.
Right.
Ain't no way.
You know, just one good one. One good one.
You better give me a cigar before I go. I'm gonna be mad.
Yes. Yes.
You know what? I would probably enjoy that too. Probably.
Absolutely.
One cigar.
Especially if it's a really good,
Not cigarettes.
Especially
cigars.
if it's a really good
I
one.
like cigarettes.
Right. If it's a really good cigar too, like a really, really good one, a single package by itself, and it looks very expensive. Yeah. That's how I'm going out. That's how
I'm
I'm
in
going
Canada.
out. Just saying.
I'm in Canada. I have Cuban cigars at home, and they're delicious.
I know. I want some. Just saying.
Yeah.
Awesome. One thing that I was thinking about as you guys were sharing, memories of the people we've lost, right? So one thing that you had me thinking about while you were sharing those memories and stories is there are lots of different strategies that we can use to kind of recover and heal and sort of try to move forward in some direction, So can you guys go into some detail about your support system or your coping strategies, or, what did you do after the fact to try to just make it to that next day, Sakura, do you want to start?
Yeah. Definitely number one on that list is friends and family. I remember the next day, my parents actually took that following day off of work, both of them, just to be there for me. They took me out. We did a little bit of, retail therapy. They took me out for, dinner that night and stuff like that. Really try to help me through to get, to that next day. And where I also took, that following day off of school, it was when I returned the next day that people who had noticed that I was gone for those couple of days had, and they'd noticed, and they had made it a assorted effort throughout the entire day, whether it was in between classes or if we'd shared any classes together, that it was either, like a gentle, their hand on top of mine, or like a hug in between classes, or I even remember receiving a couple of slipped notes here and there from people, just being like, hey, you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about it. You're not alone. We're here for you. Oh, come on, keep it together. Keep it together.
You got this.
So definitely. I mean, my biggest support system, even to this day, a lot of those people I don't talk to anymore, but, a lot of newer friends that I have, I mean, it's no different. I still have my mother here. She still takes really good care of me. I have incredible friends who are always there for me. And so that much has never changed in my life. And, for that, I'm truly blessed. I really am. Because if not for friends and family, I it's cliche to say, but without them, I don't know where I'd be right now. I really don't. Because it's been difficult. It's been very difficult. Stream, let's go ahead with you.
Me, honestly, to me, the best way I deal with this is just talk to people about it and also get myself busy with projects and hobbies. I did a post on Twitter saying that, my dog has passed away, so I'm going to be away for a little bit. I put it out there because I just want to let people know that I might be distanced from messaging. And I've realized that we furries, we have a massive support system. If you need help out there, you post it and somebody, at least one person, and in theory, there's going to be like 20 or 30 that are going to come up to you. But one thing I really love about the furry fandom, as much drama as there is, we still always come around when somebody needs help. It's really good for that. Now, the way I cope with it was really my husband, because only my husband could really know what was happening, because he was the other dad. He was the other dog dad. That's a lot of D's. And it was really difficult, but having him around was just the support I needed. And I tried to stay busy. I had to record a podcast episode on the same day my dog passed away, and I really didn't want to go and do that recording. I really didn't feel like it, but I thought, I have a responsibility. I signed up for this. I need to do this. And it ended up being a good thing because it put my mind somewhere else, and I stopped thinking about Thunder for a little while. And it was a good break for me. It felt nice. It was good to see you guys, talk and have a discussion. But usually if I'm not able to do that, I'll work on projects, I'll work on 3D printing, I'll work on 3D models, avatars, or sometimes I'll just go for a flight, go for a little roundabout with my paramotor and take off into the skies and just completely phase out. It's so relaxing. A lot of people are scared of heights. I love it. It's addictive to me, and I feel like I'm just a bird flying over all these problems, because the struggles are down there on Earth, going to work, dealing with people and stuff. When you're up high in the sky, you're alone by yourself, and I just listen to music and I just relax. So this is what I did, and I'm never going to fully recover from this, because I still struggle. I mean, you clearly struggle with it right now. All of us will still struggle with this, and it's just accepting the fact that it's going to be there probably forever, and learning to cope with it. We never recover from something like this. It's terrible, and I don't wish that to even my worst enemy. But you get.
I can't really say anything different than what's already been said. You guys here on the show have been amazing for me this past year. Colton, all of you have just been fantastic. What was it, 2 weeks ago now? I actually took my husband's ashes to the beach to spread him in the ocean, because he liked the beach. And I'm getting ready to move in with the new boyfriend, and he doesn't need to move in with me. I thought I should leave him down here where he was born at, and but Stream, I was in voice chats with you on the way down there and on the way back, and I almost backed out. At the last minute, I almost changed my mind, but I just had to push myself, and I left everything out there in the ocean. Just left it all out there. But when I got done though, and I got back on the voice chats with you and the other guys, it was like ripping off a Band-Aid. The Band-Aid's there for you to heal, but once you've healed, it's time to remove the Band-Aid and move on. That scar's still going to be there, but it's done.
Yeah. I remember telling you that you should treat yourself to some noodles or like some ramen, and you you said something. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was already on the plan for that day.
Called it.
Ramen is life.
So good.
For me, I mean, it pretty much it's like you said, it's really all I've said. But mainly specifically for me, it was definitely the friends that I had and the friends that I've come to know, especially through all of that. And with the process of how that went with Dad and everything, I talked to quite a few people and everything like that. And, you know, I've been getting advice from a lot of people, but there were some times where it went down a very, very, very dark tunnel. And I literally saw no way out at all. Because I've never been affected like this before. Like, I've had my dad's parents, my grandparents, they passed. And it was this very sad moment and everything like that. And it was something that I was able to, you know, process. And then eventually, it's still in the back of my mind, but doesn't have a heavy hitter like my dad. So it was very hard for me. So there was a lot of times where I went into very, very dark times. And I can say honestly, like, the people who I've spoken to, like Fiction, Colton, you know, Sakura, and people from the Top Dogs team and everything like that, it was so great to have. But there were so many people who really talked to me to help me get off of that ledge and not go down there. And I'm very appreciative of them. And to be honest, if it wasn't for you, Kit, or you, Stream, if I'm being honest, I probably would not be here right now.
Oh gosh.
At all. I really would not. Because there were times where I didn't even know where to turn to or who to even talk to at all. But you two were always there. And you guys checked on me and make sure I was doing okay and everything like that. So the support system definitely came from friends and family and everything like that. But it really came from the people who I've gotten to know and who really care about me. And I really appreciate everyone here for that. And I really appreciate you, Kit, and you, Stream, for always being there.
I feel like I don't do enough. I'm actually surprised because I don't feel like I do enough for my friends, that I'm not there enough. I spread myself so thin that there's so many people I wish I could help out, but I feel I can't. So I wasn't sure if I was doing things right.
No, you definitely was. You definitely was.
It's always fun to hang out with you, Revenge. You know, how can we not be there for you? Because you're so adorable and you're funny. It's fun to hang out with you. I'm glad to have you as a friend. You're sweet.
Hold on. Okay. So if we all can just come to order, because Stream has just told a lie. He said that I was fun and adorable.
Listen,
what?
You're not going to argue with me. You're going to be a good boy and take the compliment. Take the fucking compliment.
I rest my case.
God, I have to repeat myself over and over.
I rest my case. All right.
There you go.
I'm good.
Good boy.
I'm all right.
Good boy.
Oh gosh. Okay. Sorry. I gotta keep putting these things in here because yes, it's a very emotional and very heavy episode, but there are just some times where you gotta put something in there just to kind of, you know, not make it as heavy. So sorry, just had to do that.
I think it worked.
Yay.
Yeah.
So you say that that you feel like that you don't do enough for, you know, the people in your life, that, you know, you wish that you could do more. Believe it or not, and I say this with all sincerity because it's helped me through a lot of really rough times, a simple "How are you?" can go a long way with people. When you can look at somebody and genuinely ask them from your heart, "How are you?" And you can give them that moment to either, say, "Hey, I'm doing okay," or giving them an outlet to unload. It can be a very powerful thing for a lot of people. So just, to put yourself in a position where you feel like that you have to do more, you have to be there for those people. You've got to, go out of your way to, really, make a super huge impact on their life. Just saying, "How are you?" Giving them that opening is extremely powerful. And for a lot of people, that's all that you need to do.
It's very true, because I wanted to bring that up during the question of the week. Like, I used to be like this, like where I have to proactively take care of people and go to them and do stuff. And I did that with my husband when he was going, through the legal processes of putting his morale teacher in jail for things to, I won't say the word. No, it's the P word. He was put in jail. He was sentenced, but I was trying so hard to be there for him that I burned myself out trying to help him out. And I realized, and it was creating more problems than anything. So I'm going to speak to the camera now and just say that sometimes you don't have to do anything. Just showing up and just being there and offering an outlet where they can vent is all people need. You're absolutely right. I always feel like I need to do something, but I just got to be there. Like you said, just saying, "How are you doing?" As simple as that. You don't need to do anything else. I forget that part sometimes.
Yeah.
That's probably why I feel like I don't help out enough. It's because I try to be proactive when I don't have to.
Exactly. Being there for somebody can be very easy. It can be very simple. It doesn't have to be a whole arduous process that you have to stress yourself out over. Just when you say, "How are you?" to somebody, you're letting them know, "Hey, I'm here for you. I want to know how you are. Please let it out." The three simple words, "How are you?" can have such a significant meaning to people that it can mean more to them than you going out of your way and stressing yourself out to the point of burnout, when all you just have to do is just simply be there in that moment for them.
Exactly. Absolutely. And then to kind of piggyback off of that too, with that, it also pretty much opens the door to that person too, to let them know you are valid. You are someone who I care for. You are someone that is important to me. I am here for you. Literally, just the "how are you" is literally like the starting point of the validation that you are valid. You are here. You are important. So, as you said before, it is something that can go a long way and open the gateway to literally starting like, "I'm here for you. What do you need? I can be a shoulder to cry on. You can vent to me. I can give you advice. Whatever it is, you are valid to me. You have my attention just to make sure you are doing okay. What can I do for you?" It's literally just like that.
And sometimes trying too hard absolutely does the opposite effect. It was like that with my husband. I was trying so hard to cheer him up. It's like I was denying his own emotion. It felt to him. I was just trying to help, but it felt to him like I'm not allowed to live my emotions. I'm like, "No, you can. It's just I want you to feel better." I'm like, I need to go through this. So what I ended up doing when I didn't know what to do is I would just go check up on him every hour. Like, "Do you need anything? Do you need water? Do you need something to food? Do you need a hug?" Like, I would just ask what he needed. If he says nothing, I'm like, okay, then I'm going to go do other things. I need to, responsibilities. Hey, Chet. Yes, you're a comfort doggo right now. Just check up on them, ever so often. And if you want to make it meaningful when you're trying to help somebody out, please take the time to say, "How are you?" Not HRU. Just a little advice out there. It's a lot more meaningful when you actually take the time to spell it correctly than being just casual conversation. Like, "Hey, what's up?"
Yes, please, for the love of God, please. Don't be doing what these young folks be doing here now. I'm doing a HMU. No, literally spell it out. How are you? Not only just because it makes you, it makes you care about it, but just also, at least for me, because a lot of people can't, and it's a little bit funny to me, not to down anybody, but it also lets me know that you're able to spell correctly, just to clarify a few things. So I just need to make sure that you can spell, okay? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay. Oh gosh. Okay.
That's such an interesting thing about like supporting your friends, especially when you're going through hard times, is like just the way that you phrase things or spell things. It can when you have somebody who's in that vulnerable space, that can even make all the difference over text, I just think that's so interesting.
Fred just walks up like, HRU, I'm like, who the hell are you? Get out of here. Being sassy about it. Don't speak to me like that. But, sometimes when there's something wrong, sometimes people will say like, I'm fine. You can go back and like, you sure? Because if you need to talk, I'm there. And if they say I'm fine, then don't insist. Just step back. If they need help, they'll reach out. Just be there. Make yourself available. That's the biggest secret. If somebody needs support, make yourself available. Because a bit like in Has Been Hotel, they say when needs come, people always take the path of least resistance. So make yourself available, make it easy for them to reach out for you. That's the best help you can do for people. Just be there.
We sort of touched on this earlier, kind of in passing, but I think it was you, Revenge, that mentioned, visiting the gravesite of a lost loved one. When you go to see a gravesite, if you do that on a regular basis, how do you feel in that moment going back there? Do you talk to the people you've lost? Do you have any other rituals that you perform? Anything like that?
Yeah, I'll start off with this one. Yes. So recently, with a coworker, she does a thing for her family members and everything like that. She has an incense that she'll burn at the gravesite and just say a prayer for them. So that way they know that they're there, they're in their spirits, and just, to communicate with them to make sure, that they're okay on the other side and everything like that. So I did that today for the very first time. She gave me, from her culture, she gave me the incense, and then she gave me like a little bit of like a talisman, or like a talisman card to burn while also visiting the gravesite too. And went to the gravesite, and I had all the intention to, be, as it was said earlier, to be strong, because my mother was there too, be strong for her and everything like that, and just to comfort everything that has happened. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of tongue-tied here. So I had a bowl, and I lit the incense, and I put the incense in the bowl, and it's a forever incense, so it will pretty much just burn all the way through. I burned the incense and put it right next to, underneath my dad's name for the tombstone. And once I sat down right next to it, it just it was a huge overflow. And some people have that intuition where, a brush of wind and it feels like someone's holding on to you or touching you or anything like that. And at that moment, when I literally sat down next to his name, there was just the smallest gust of wind, but when it hit me, it felt like he was giving me a hug to reassure that he's fine. And it let me know that he is doing okay on the other side. But what really kind of sent it full force for me was the fact that the wind picked up a little bit, and then it hit my mom, and she pretty much just lost it because she felt the same energy that I felt. Because my dad is there, he's watching, he's making sure everything is good to go. And he's also letting us know that he's okay on the other side, that he's fine. And it will be something that I will do from here on out. His gravesite is only 2 hours from me, so it's a great thing that I have the ability to go to his gravesite. But it definitely was a very strong connection there at his gravesite, and I'm very, very fortunate that I had the ability to try a new, not necessarily like a ritual, but a new tradition to start for going to see my dad. It was good. What about you, Stream?
So, usually what happened, like, I've started going back to my father's grave recently. I didn't know where he was. I've kind of forgotten about his birthday, but my mom tries to reconnect us, my sister and I, together. And I think his birthday is coming up. I think it's on the 24th of February. So I'm considering going to see him. But usually when we all go, all the family together. I'm gonna bring Jet along this time for sure. And we're just going to talk to him, give it a little life update. He probably knows because he's watching over us, but recently I've kind of discovered something really weird about myself. Like, there's stuff going on in my family on my father's side that is really hard to explain, but sometimes I sense energy, like you were mentioning before, and I've been trying to meditate a little bit to be more aware. I don't really believe in ghosts and, like magic and stuff, but I do believe that sometimes our instinct speaks to us, that little voice we hear. I think it's some sort of energy that connects us all together. And we use logic so much that we kind of don't listen to that voice, but I've been trying to listen to it more. And I want to try to just meditate. After I'm done doing, like, giving him an update, saying that I miss him, kind of just meditate and just feel the wind, just relax and see what happens. I'm kind of curious to see if he's really there and, like, watching over us. I hope I hope I make him proud. I hope he's proud of what we are becoming. And, it's that. The other thing we do is I have an urn with the picture of Thunder. I have his dog collar. I have his paw print on clay. And I have a little tuft of fur that sometimes I brush against my cheek. I'm like, oh, man, I miss him so much. And then Jet gets involved. It's like, what are you doing? So I have a cute picture where Jet is sitting in front of Thunder and, my two boys, right? And he's with there every single day. And when sometimes we drink, we party. When we take a shot glass on my husband's restaurant, we go high five, and then you tap the glass on a wood surface to honor the dead, and then we drink. That is the one thing that I do every single time. Every time we have a drink and there's a wood surface, I tap for Thunder, and then I drink. So, kind of a little thing we do to honor him. What about you, Sakura?
Goodness, this is a hard one for me, because when it comes to the matters of life and death, I kind of have, like, my own set of beliefs in that. In regards to, this is going to be very, very controversial to say, and I mean very controversial, but I don't believe in heaven or hell. I believe in one soul moving on to another body. So for every loss that we've had, another life begins anew. And have you ever met somebody, like, in your life that you feel like them, like, you feel very, very familiar with them, you feel comfortable around them, but you can't explain why.
Kind of brings up the
and
energy
for
I was
me
talking about earlier.
Exactly. And for me, that was somebody from a long time ago that you've known, that you have had interactions with in, a previous mortal existence. And you have been brought back together again at that time. So for me, that's kind of how I honor, the people of the past, is by looking at somebody that I've been very familiar with It's almost like saying, it's good to see you again. I've missed you.
Yeah.
And so, it is in that resurrection, if you will, that, it makes things a lot less harder when you lose somebody, because one day it may not be, in this lifetime, but maybe in the next, that you'll be reunited with somebody once again. And that's where I find the solace in that.
I kind of share a belief like you. I don't believe that. Evan, yes or no? I do believe there's something out there after we pass away, but I don't believe in hell. I think hell is on Earth, and we're being tested until we elevate our souls to something stronger, more powerful, a better person. Kind of goes with the whole energy thing going on. So yeah, it's weird. Life and death is really something so unique and so personal to every single individual. Their perception, how they see it, how it ends, how it starts. So it's fun to talk about it sometimes. I'd love, like, at some point after the episode, I'd love to talk more with you about that. I'm kind of curious.
Absolutely.
Sounds cool. What about you, Kit?
So, like I mentioned a bit ago, I took his ashes and spread them at the beach because he liked going to the beach. So that's really the only kind of ritualistic thing that I've done. But I went out. I got ankle deep in the water, and it was cold.
I'm sure he won't mind.
It was cold, but I had in my mind this nice, peaceful, serene conversation, and it was nothing like that. It was ugly. I was just overly emotional, and I pulled the lid off of the urn, and I didn't realize that the ashes don't go directly into the urn. They go into a bag, and this bag is like industrial strength, child proof. I should have brought scissors or something.
It's not so smooth.
Oh no!
He would have laughed about that too. Watch me struggling to get this damn bag open, freezing my toes off in the water. He would have thought it was hilarious. And the whole time I'm just.
He was probably looking down at you. He was like, "Hey, good job." It's like he was giggling. Probably was.
But no, like I had a little conversation with him, and then I spread his ashes out. And so last week I actually spent the day with my grandma for her birthday. And so we talked about my grandpa, we talked about my husband, and it's a little bit of dark humor, but she thought it was funny too. I looked at her and like, what do you do with an urn now that you're done with it? Like, do you put it up on Facebook Marketplace, like gently used?
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh!
No.
You save it for yourself. You save it for yourself when you're gonna pass away.
Oh my
It was hilarious.
Oh my gosh!
Brand new
can't
urn, used for a few days.
Right? Lightly used in still great condition.
Right, yeah.
I mean, define used. It was an industrial bag. No,
I mean, this is true. This is true.
it's brand new.
It's true.
My grandma thought it was hilarious.
Oh my goodness. Oh, and then the other tradition that I have to go do, which is probably going to be right after this, I have to go to the store. And my dad's favorite drink of all time, favorite drink, is Blue Moon or a Yingling, one of the two, depending on how he's feeling that day. So, got to go to the store and then grab some of that and then toast to him for his birthday. That's another thing I forgot. So, gonna drink to him. Respectfully and responsibly drink to him That's
Yeah.
the key thing.
The
That's the key
important
thing.
things.
Depending on that emotional state.
I mean, that is also true. That is also
Depend on my
true.
emotional state.
Right.
I'll do it
That is
safely, though.
also true.
Yeah, go Kit.
Go ahead, Kit.
I know we're over the time limit, but I still want to get this question in because I think it's important. How have each of us changed and grown this past year since we filmed this episode first time?
I gotta say that I'm a lot more composed. I think putting it out there really helped me because I got a lot less emotional, because what you guys don't know is that we had to reshoot this. We had a first take and it went absolutely fantastic. Everybody cried here. That was like, that didn't change. But we had a technical difficulty. There was a bug and we lost the audio, so we had to reshoot this. But just redoing that take a second time, I got less emotional, so I guess I'm recovering. I'm doing better. Still gonna hurt, but it's just like going through that, the euthanization. Every time I play that movie back in my head, it destroys me. So I try not to think about it. So yeah.
I meant from part 1 last year.
Oh, from last year? I was definitely more emotional than last year. Definitely was more emotional because I think the reality settled in, and I realized even though having Jet around is good, I'm really happy to have him. They're so different, and I miss him, and I see the difference between the two, and it makes me realize that I was expecting it. They're not the same, obviously, but as Jet is growing, I realize how much different they were. And Jet, the emotions and feelings I had for Jet versus Thunder are completely different, and Jet is never going to be able to match that. And I think that was another reality hit that kind of got me. I think that's why it was more difficult this year doing it again. He's by my lap right now. I'm getting him footsies. He likes it.
From the first time we filmed this, definitely would say, then when we first filmed it, it was literally fresh because it recently happened, and the mindset was all over the board, emotions was all over the board. Like, it was very difficult to process right then and there because it just happened. And then now with the retake, it's like you said, it's still there. It's still in the back of the mind, but you've grown from it a little bit more. And, you have the ability now to share the story with others because your story may be somewhat similar to whatever the viewers are. Their story could be somewhat similar. So you being able to speak about it and being able to share it could also help them in the process too. So I think from the first one until now, I think I've gotten more confident in myself and having the ability to speak about it more, because back then, I didn't want to say anything about it because literally just mentioning about it, literally dark mode. Don't talk to me, nothing. Like, I don't want to deal with society like at all. But now I feel so much better with talking about it and getting it off of my chest, so that way it's not so heavy hitting in the back of my mind. I feel as though my confidence level with this has improved a lot more compared to filming it on day one.
Yeah, I remember last year when we filmed it, you and I were both pretty quiet that episode.
Oh my gosh, it was bad. Like, not bad in like a bad way. It was just bad, like, because it was still so fresh to us, and it was just like, we don't know what to say. We don't know what to do. Yeah, like, it was still there, and we got invited to be a part of the podcast, but it's like, what are we supposed to say? Like, what are we supposed to do? We're sitting here and we're trying to figure out what we're supposed to do, but we don't know what to do. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
But I think we've grown so much.
It is very much a journey, and that's part of the reason why we did this revisiting episode because the last year was where we were at that time, but now it's been a whole year. So we've had time to grow. We've gone through the journey now. And so we should talk about the journey.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess it's really hard for me to weigh in on this one because I was the one who actually recorded the last one. So getting to hear, your guys' stories, back then and, getting to see where you guys are now. I mean, it's, I can see a lot of that difference, for all of you guys. I mean, yeah, it's a lot different for me to sit here and go through my stories because this is my first time getting to talk to you guys about the things that I've gone through in my life. But to answer this one, I'll say it from the outside perspective was, you guys were quiet because you guys had just had things going on. Hearing your story, things are still very, very hard. But watching you guys be able to really open up now and really get to hear your stories and feel. Get to feel them, if you will. Because I feel like this revisit has really allowed you guys to open up a lot more than you guys were able to last year. So I believe that this revisit is going to be very good, if not only for our viewers to get to see, where you are now, but to be able to have that impact and really get to feel and maybe even reflect on their own lives, their own losses. I do believe this is going to be good for a lot of people, for them and for yourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know I had to rediscover who I was almost from the ground up because for 7 years I was the better half of a couple. And so suddenly I'm a widow, I'm a bachelor again. So I had to figure out who single Kit was all over again. I've found even more independence. I've found strength I didn't know I had. I've found interest in hobbies, other things about myself that I would not have explored if I were still married. Just learned so many new things about myself this past year. It has absolutely been a journey.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking.
I honestly.
I'm just thinking about this. I forgot to share it, but when I lost Thunder, what was the hardest part? You know how dogs are always up in your private space all the goddamn time, and privacy that doesn't exist for them. When they're gone and they leave you, you notice. I didn't have my little floof boy saying, "Hi, welcome back home, Dad," anymore. I lost that. I didn't have my little goddamn it dog taking all over the goddamn bed space anymore. I had room, but as annoying as it was, I missed it. And the first week was the most difficult part. Is all of these things that you take for granted sometimes that annoy you, it actually makes them who they are, and you get to love them for it. So when you go with somebody, what I've noticed over time is that you don't love somebody just for their qualities. You like them for their faults as well, because that's what makes them them, and you get to appreciate that, and it reminds you of them as well. So having lost that ball of energy and that dog taking over the goddamn bed, that was a tough one. I can laugh it off now, but oh gosh, I wasn't back then. Oh well. Well, I think that sums it up for today. There's a slightly more extended episode, but obviously it's a deep subject, so hope you guys enjoyed, all things considered. Hope you guys recover nicely and well from whatever you're going through. And, don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help, because there's help out there. You just got to reach for it. And, yeah. So I wish you guys a fantastic day, fantastic night, fantastic evening. Take care of yourself, and we love you all. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.
All right, now
And
I
that's
want
a
to
wrap.
give everybody. I want to give everybody a good damn hug now, big group hug, because you guys
Yay.
are fantastic.